Hello people, how you doing? Thanks for all the support I've seen so far. I very much do appreciate it. Now, to begin with, I want you guys to all go down and go follow everybody I react to. Before you do anything with me, before you like anything I do, go follow them, go watch them, do everything else like that. Like I don't use me as the medium to watch things. Watch them first, then I guess watch me react and support them. I'd much rather get support than you give me support personally, because they're the ones actually creating the content. Now, having said that, I do very much appreciate the support I've seen so far. It's only been 2 days, and it's a small amount of support, but I do, from the deepness of my heart, very much appreciate it. Now, on to what is the main event. We are going to be watching the film theory of The Joker Is Not Real. I don't know anything about what he's going to be talking about here. Well, apart from what's in the title. I know that the Joker trailer, not the Joker trailer, the Joker movie, rather, has amazing, beyond amazing reviews right now. If you look at it, Joker still, can somebody tell me in the, why Yahoo's there? It's annoying me. It's annoying me very much. But the reviews are, like, beyond all rational belief. Metacritic sucks something, but this thing is gonna be amazing. I want the world to skip forward a month so we can be in October so I can watch it. But I get to make awesome YouTube videos for you guys, so I guess I shouldn't want it to skip forward a month. Anyway, that is, yeah, I don't know. I lost my train of thought immediately. Let's just start the damn video. You guys don't care what I think. Well, maybe. I don't know. Let's just start the damn video. Oh, hi, Mia. My cat's
In the
up and
world
around.
of Joker, today's theory will
shut
show that the biggest joke of all is on us.
So I'm going to try not to talk during it, because there doesn't seem to be a good happy medium between my loudness and the thing's loudness. So anytime I want to talk, I'll just pause it. So if you don't like that, I don't know. That's just the way I'm doing it. Let's go!
Hello, Internet!
Hello.
Welcome to Film Theory,
Okay, I'll make stupid jokes like that during it. But I'm not going to really talk.
where
Anyway.
we just encourage you to smile. Just keep on smiling. Keep smiling. Keep smiling. Now, I gotta be honest. When I first saw an announcement about a Joker solo movie shortly after the release of Suicide Squad, I thought it was all one bad joke.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the entire internet did too. When I heard that the Joker movie was coming out and when I first watched the trailer, I honestly fully thought that it was going to be trash. It looked bad. I didn't get it. I didn't get what it was going for when I first watched the trailer. My friend Kevin was like, "Oh, it's great," but my friend Kevin is in love with movies and he says most trailers are great. I'm an incredibly picky person by nature, so like, and I'm naturally pessimistic. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, it's gonna be terrible. Because, one, it's made by DC, and DC are the equivalent of monkeys with paint. Two, it's a Joker standalone. And looking at the trailer before you knew any of the reviews, it didn't look good, especially if you didn't get what it was going for, and especially since I'm not really much of a movie guy by nature, so I didn't really know Joaquin Phoenix's movies that well. I watched Taxi Driver the other night. Pretty good movie. Not really my favorite movie of all time, but it is a good movie. But yeah, I didn't think it was going to be good at all, but the reviews, dude. The reviews. This thing is pumping up. This thing is pumping. It's out of this world.
I mean, let's just say that most people weren't super thrilled with that movie's characterization of such a...
I actually didn't mind Jared Leto. Jared Leto, is that his name? I think so. Doesn't matter. He's not important to this story. I didn't mind him. He wasn't bad. That movie was a train wreck, but his portrayal of the Joker wasn't the thing that ruined the movie. It was just the movie that ruined the movie, right? Like, it wasn't... You can't be like, oh, Harley Quinn screwed it up, or, oh, hey, Deadshot screwed it up. No, it was just the movie. Suicide Squad, the movie, was just bad. It was just poorly edited. It had good stuff in it. Don't get me wrong. There were good things in Suicide Squad, and there was a good movie to be made from that. There was a good movie to be made from that. They just didn't make that movie, which is very sad because I think it could have been very good. They just needed to make it more funny, because if you're doing an all-villain movie, unless you're going super, super dark like the Joker trailer is, or the Joker trailer, why do I keep saying that? The Joker movie is, you need to go funny. Because there's no happy middle ground there, not really.
An iconic villain.
This handsome hunka hunka. You don't want no beef? You don't want no beef?
I smell like beef.
So,
Okay, I almost snorted water out my nose. Good job, film theorist. Good job.
coming back for yet another version of the character so soon was,
oh god, it hurts.
to say the least. Then the trailer came out,
God.
and I was stunned. This wasn't gonna be a film about billionaire superheroes with bat nipples beating up thugs in rainbow-colored
Bad
streets.
nipples. Give me a second. I need to make this my background. No, not batay nipples. What's batay nipples? Give me a second. I misspelled that, but what's batay nipples? Oh, it's ion batteries. Okay. Didn't think it'd be a thing. No, not bay. Oh god, that's. There you go. Bay nipples. That would have been bad. My cat just crawled on my lap. Say hi, Mia. Okay, you come down. Yeah, bat nipples. I need to make bat nipples my background. Bat nipples are my lord and savior. Oh, actual bat nipples. All right, let's get out here before there's actual nipples on Google.
Instead, it was going to be a dive into the psychology of a man named Arthur Fleck, a man plagued by mental illness, a man forgotten by government and abused by society, a man just like any other, completely unremarkable, except for one small detail. We're told by the title of the movie that he's going to rise to take the title of comics' greatest supervillain, the Joker. It's the sort of deconstruction of the genre that I love, and that I think we're all desperate for. Don't give me...
Honestly, I didn't think it would be good when I first saw the trailer. He said he was blown away by the trailer. I honestly wasn't. But I was proven wrong, and I'm happy to be. But I really wasn't blown away. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it didn't resonate with me. I'm just very picky about movies. Well, I wouldn't say I'm picky about movies. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll review the movies later, I think.
Don't get me wrong, I love the spectacle of superhero movies, but after more than a decade of flashy CGI battles with big villains and even bigger budgets, what gets me most excited are the ones brave and...
Oh my god, The Boys. Oh. Yeah, I agree. I 110% agree. The Boys, oh my god. And all those, like, darker takes on it, yeah. Like, I love the big, flashy, showy things, but I do love me a personal hero story, like Daredevil on Netflix, or The Punisher on Netflix, or The Boys. Boys are great. Don't let your kids watch it. I'm talking to you. Don't let your kids watch it.
Enough to show us something darker, stuff like Logan or The Boys, stories set in universes of superheroes, but where good and evil aren't so clear-cut, where the heroes aren't always the good guys. Films that don't just gloss over the rotten underbelly of a society that needs heroes to rescue it in the first place. And Joker seems to tick all those boxes. But there was something else that I found interesting about Joker when watching the trailers. I don't think it's real. Now, obviously, the movie exists.
Real?
That's not what I'm saying here.
No, it's all fabrication. It's a lie. It'll come out on the 4th, and it'll be an elaborate prank. And being like, we were aiming for the April the 1st, but we somehow got bumped back to October. Oops. Nothing's coming out. That's exactly what's going to happen. 10 out of 10.
No, what I mean to say is that anytime you have a film telling such a close, personal story of a character who's clearly struggling with mental illness, it leaves open the possibility for misdirection. For the film to suddenly descend into hallucinations. For the camera itself to be an unreliable narrator as it depicts not reality as it's truly happening, but rather reality as its characters, or in this case Arthur Fleck, wants to see it. For an example of what...
Yeah, so instead of like it actually showing what's happening in reality, kind of like how in Taxi Driver, you're not entirely sure if everything that happened really happened, or at least that's the takeaway I had from it. Like, especially like in Joaquin Phoenix's movie Taxi Driver, it was like like he went to go kill those guys, like he killed those people for that little girl. Can't remember her name now, but like, and then he got awarded as a hero. But before that, you saw his like deep decline into like mental health, and then like he gets this like weird look on his face at the end, and it's like he might have been just he might have just gone like schizophrenic or something like that, and he's just completely lost his mind. It might go down that similar path to the Joker. It would make sense for the Joker to have a completely different worldview, where he truly thinks he's doing, maybe not right, but he doesn't. Yeah, he's not there, but his actions are hideous.
What I mean, just look at Fight Club,
Yeah,
the
Fight Club,
ultimate
too.
example
Yeah.
of a movie that's lying to you the entire time. And the more I looked into the trailers, interviews around this film, and the source material that inspired it, the more convinced I became. What we're going to end up seeing in Joker isn't going to be entirely real. The movie, or at least a sizable portion of it, is going to be playing out in Joker's own mind. What we're going to end up seeing on screen may not be what's actually happening in Gotham around the setting of the movie. But how and why? Let's look a bit closer, shall we? Let's start by dissecting Arthur himself. The trailers introduce us to Arthur Fleck, which, it's worth noting, is a new name for Joker's character. No official name has ever been given to the Joker in the main canon DC Comics, and Jack Napier, from the Tim Burton movies and the alternate universe White Knight, is about as close as we've ever come.
Jack Napier. I don't think I've ever heard that name for the Joker before. I'll be honest. Granted, I'm not much of a Batman guy, personally. So, well, I'm not much of a comics guy, I suppose I should say. Even though I watch all the Marvel movies, which is weird. Anyway, doesn't matter.
In fact, the team working on Joker made it pretty explicit that this story is entirely original, so no digging through deep comic lore is going to be helping us out this time around. It's immediately communicated to us from the trailers that Arthur is suffering from some form of mental illness. Not
Yep.
only do we see him in therapy, but
cray.
if you look
He cray
close
cray.
at his notepad, it outright confirms it. Reading, quote, "The worst part about having a mental illness is people expect you to behave as if you don't." This is also confirmed by numerous interviews done with the cast and crew of the film. According to actor Mark Maron in an interview with website NME, quote, "The approach that Todd Phillips has taken is more of an origin story and a character study of a mentally ill person that becomes the Joker," end quote. So we know that Arthur Fleck is
Yeah, as someone I suffer with depression, most people don't really recognize that's an issue because it's not a physical thing. It's hard to manifest. And it's, especially since I think this takes place like a decade or two ago. This takes place in like roughly does this take place? I don't think this takes place in modern times, the Joker movie. Mental health back then was even less so than it is now. It's not much now. It really isn't much now. But back then it was even less. And especially for someone suffering like he would be suffering from, which looks like possibly schizophrenia, definitely antisocial, not narcissism. I'm studying to be a psychology student. I should know this. Maybe bipolar a bit. Like he's suffering from. I'll have to watch the movie to truly know. But he's suffering from mania. He's definitely suffering from mania, which would be a portion of bipolar, but mostly mania. Oh yeah, no, he would definitely be suffering from bipolar, wouldn't he? He'd be suffering from massive bipolar because he would become the Joker. His Joker would be the up. It would be the highest up. It would be completely up in the clouds beyond all rational belief. Obviously, Joker. And then the depressive is Arthur Fleck. That would be an interesting characteristic on the Joker, where he's not always the Joker. The Joker is just his mania. It's just it's like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Yeah, that's the one. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or Dr. Hyde, Mr. Jekyll, whatever, doesn't matter. That would be an interesting take on the Joker, and it'd be interesting to see if they went down that route, where it's like it's not two different people, because even though Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde are two different people, it would be more like Joker is the mania, Joker is the high, and then Arthur Fleck is the depressive of the bipolar disorder, which is completely beyond bipolar at this point, and morphed into, honestly, something most people wouldn't see, because most people don't get this far. Most bipolar people end up in jail or killing themselves if they get to this point. if they get to this point where they could do this in real life, it's unlikely they get here. Anyway, moving on.
Is dealing with some mental disorder, but what sort of illness is it? Clearly not all mental illnesses function the same way. So to better understand this character, and thus the movie he's a part of, we have to first understand his diagnosis.
Okay,
Looking
so
at
you're going down the
trailers, we
exact
see
route I
a few
just did.
curious
Okay.
details that could be symptoms of Arthur's illness.
Keep in mind, I've been out of university for 6 months now, something like that. I didn't get into this semester, and I didn't go during the summer. And I'm only getting into 4th year now. I'm a 3rd-ish, 4th-ish year. So I'm not... And my brain is also mush, so... Shut up.
First, he appears to have inappropriate emotional responses. Laughing without any sort of stimulus, laughing after being beat up, switching into and out of laughter instantly. And while out of nowhere, uncontrollable laughter is indeed a real medical condition known as pseudobulbar affect, there are more symptoms here that don't line up with that initial diagnosis. Symptoms such as moments of violent outbursts or inappropriate actions, smashing himself against protective screens, smashing himself against mirrors, painting his own tongue. Generally speaking, Arthur's movements feel awkward. Watching him walk and dance in both trailers feels uncomfortable, feels disjointed. He's jerky. His feet
feels
are
like
moving
the
in
old
strange
woman from
patterns.
It.
The illness also seems to be hereditary, with his mother needing at-home care despite appearing rather young, and in what otherwise would seem to be good health. All of these symptoms seem to point to Joker's vague mental illness being more precisely diagnosed as schizophrenia, a chronic mental disorder characterized by a breakdown between what someone perceives as reality and what's really happening around them.
Well, schizophrenia would cover part of it, but again, with all things, you can't... One diagnosis can't cover them all. He's probably going to get into this further. But you can have more than one diagnosis. You can have many, many diagnoses. Oh, I forgot I'm not even at full screen. That's probably part of the issue. You can have many, 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 many diagnoses. Sorry about not having it in full screen. I'm dumb. Like you can have a full spectrum of it. He likely has schizophrenia. He certainly has antisocial, and he certainly has bipolar, but definitely mania. Let's see how he goes.
Look at this list of characteristics and think back to what we just talked.
Yeah, blank, vacant facial expressions. Yep, he. Ow, hi Mia. Blank facial expressions. You can see how he's like dead in the mirror, staring at himself. Overly acute senses. Yeah, you get staring, clumsy, sleep disturbances, insomnia or excessive sleeping. Yep. Voluntary tongue movement, grimacing. Parkinson's type symptoms. Yeah, awkward gait. Eye movements difficult. Focus on following a slow moving object. Unusual gestures or postures, movement speeding up, constant pacing, or staying in bed. Catatonia, yeah.
Talked about with regards to Arthur. Inexact motor skills, jerking arm movements, awkward.
Now, he's not giving this. He's not really saying what this really means. Is someone with schizophrenia won't have all of these. They might have none of these. but the check marks start. It's the list of possible symptoms you can have that will then possibly lead to a diagnosis of schizophrenia. So you won't have all of these. You could have all of these. You likely won't if you're schizophrenic. You'll have some. And then you'll have some other either auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations, different things like that. It's a checkmark list, or verbal spillage. It's not the word for it. Word vomit. It's where you just go, like the black horse jumped over the black sheep into the swamp, into the forest, into the darkness, into the cat, like you hear schizophrenics on the street, or people who are screaming how the world's gonna end and how they're God and how they're in control of the government, and like if you've ever been on the street, you've seen people like this, but they don't have all of these. So he's obviously not trying to talk about this in a rational manner, or not. No, that's insulting. He's not. So I'm trying to get my mind wrapped trying to get my words together. He obviously he's not going to go into detail of how the actual diagnoses work, or if he does, he might touch on it. I don't know, but like you won't have all of those. Obviously, he's pointing out them. Obviously, you can't see me pointing at the screen, but he's pointing them out and things like that. But you won't have all of them. you could, you won't.
Unusual gestures or postures, feelings of detachment.
Yeah, someone's feeling nothing else, appearing desireless, seeking nothing, wanting nothing, inability to express joy, cholindynia, feeling different to important events, hypersensitive,
sudden anger, social
depression, feeling discouraged, hopelessness about the future, low motivation, energy, a little low, suicidal, rapid change in mood from happy to sad for no apparent reason, called liable mood, severe anxiety,
isolation. It's almost
dropping off of activities in life in general, inability to form or keep relationships, social isolation, few close friends if any, little interaction outside of immediate family, increased withdrawal, spending most days alone, becoming lost of thought, not wanting to be disturbed, looking to self-care, hygiene, clothing, appearance, replaying or rehearsing conversations aloud, talking to yourself. I mean, people who talk to themselves, like, that's common. Finding it difficult to deal with stressful situation, ability to cope with minor problems, lack of goal-directed behavior, not being able to engage in purposeful activity. Yeah. Laughing or smiling when talking of a sad event. Catatonia. Drug abuse. Yeah. A lot of smoke. This is very normal behavior. Yeah, frequent moves. Yeah.
An exact match for the behavior that we see Arthur exhibiting throughout these two trailers. And schizophrenia does indeed have a strong genetic component. Even the handwriting on his joke pad is a clue to his real diagnosis here. Notice how the writing gets more and more disorganized as it goes on? Well, compare that to what we see in this study from the paper Differences in Handwritings of Schizophrenia Patients. And you can clearly see the exact same style of traits. The size and pressure of the pen marks differ, it's messy and outside the bounds of the lines, the letters are poorly formed. Without treatment, people with schizophrenia tend to have problems in society because of a feeling that they've lost touch with reality, in large part due to schizophrenia's key symptoms, delusions and hallucinations. And it's those two symptoms that seem really pertinent to our theory today about what is and isn't real in this new...
Yeah, you'll notice here that you can have a lot of those things, or be a lot of those things, with depression. Like we can go back, because this is a tricky part of mental diagnosis. You can have, especially a lot of these feelings, mood, and other things like that. You can have these things without being schizophrenic. I'll be honest. When I'm in my depressive states, I have these things, like the inability to experience or pleasure, joy from activities. Yeah, depression, like. Not all of these things. You'll see these, and I don't want you to get the idea, or the possible idea, that having these means you have schizophrenia. It doesn't. Schizophrenia is when you have auditory or visual hallucinations and or delusions of grandeur. Or or not just delusions, like delusions and things like that, and truly believing them. These are just noticeable symptoms that could possibly lead to a diagnosis of schizophrenia, but it doesn't mean it is. So don't get worried about this, because I do have these sometimes. Low motivation, suicidal thoughts when I was younger, definitely. Depression, yep. Sudden irritability, hostility, suspiciousness, or resentment, yep, that happens sometimes. But that's not schizophrenia. That can be any type of diagnosis. So don't get it in your mind that having these means that you're schizophrenic. It doesn't. But these do and can come along with schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is hallucinations and delusions. Depression and other things have a tendency to get tacked onto it, because having those things tend to lead to these. It's like the snake eating its own tail. Just because you have these does not mean you're part of the snake. You're in a different snake. Anyway, I hope that clears some things up, because I don't want people to get worried about this. I like him, but this is a dangerous thing to put out there, especially for kids who don't understand this. This is a dangerous thing to put out there. Anyway, moving on.
Sudden anger, social isolation, and to have problems in society because of a feeling that they've lost touch with reality. In large part due to schizophrenia's key symptoms, delusions, and hallucinations. And it's those two...
You can have no real symptoms of these and still technically be schizophrenic, but be very, very mild on the spectrum. But even then, you might not even be registered as schizophrenic because it's a spectrum disorder. You'd be put on the bottom of the list with the potential of having it, but you wouldn't be diagnosed because it's to get a diagnosis of something, it has to be affecting your daily life. It has to be affecting you enough that it is like hurting your daily routine, hurting your life, basically. Like, you can't go out and do, like, for somebody who is a bit depressed, you can still go out and work and you can still go and do things. But somebody with real diagnosable, both people would have depression, but somebody who would be like, oh, you're full on depressed, would be somebody who can't get out of bed or doesn't bathe and things like it. Not bathing is a very key sign of a lot of mental illness, actually. Not bathing is a very key sign, or not enough hygiene. I don't know why that's such. It's weird. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. Let him talk.
Symptoms that seem really pertinent to our theory today about what is and isn't real in this new Joker movie. You see, in the lead up to the premiere of Joker, you keep seeing one other movie constantly being mentioned: 1982's The King of Comedy, a film directed by Martin Scorsese.
There's no such thing as a perfect writer. This is why I use Grammarly to check my work.
If I'm putting commas in the wrong places, that can shift my credibility and ability to influence and persuade others.
It helped me become a better writer and not be so afraid to share.
Okay, maybe I'll shut up and just let the video
but
go.
I use
I'll shut up and
pretty
do
much
my
every
thoughts
time
at
I
the end.
type on my computer.
Grammarly is like an invisible writing assistant.
It doesn't just correct me, but it teaches me.
I have the peace of mind that at the end it's gonna be fine.
Right? The future. Alright, on to the video. Get Grammarly, it's free, I don't care.
Now, for as famous of a director as Martin Scorsese is, delivering iconic movies like Goodfellas, Taxi Driver, The Departed, and Raging Bull, King of Comedy tends not to be one of his better-known works.
Yeah,
and yet,
I watched
here
Taxi
it is,
Driver, haven't
being
watched the
cited
others.
as a key point of inspiration for what we'll end up seeing in Joker. Quote, there's a connection, obviously, with the whole thing, but it's not as a direct connection. This is according to actor Robert De Niro, who plays the main character, a struggling stand-up comic in King of Comedy, and, wouldn't you know it, is also a major stand-up comic TV show host that we see in Joker. But outside of sharing this one actor in somewhat similar roles in a setting of a New York-style city in a crime-filled 1980s, the connections between the two films seem to go deeper, much deeper. In King of Comedy, we have ourselves Rupert Pupkin, a socially awkward and mentally ill comedian.
Always coming up with these great lines. I love them.
Who idolizes a stand-up TV host, eventually turning violent as he kidnaps and holds the TV host hostage just so he can get his 15 minutes of fame on the show.
I have a gun at my head if a man who identifies himself as the king. Hold on, Bert. I'm reading from cue cards. Tonight's show. You will never see me alive again. It's not grammatically correct, but I think you have the idea.
It's
He
not
does this, at
grammatically
least in part,
correct.
to impress a young woman named Rita that he finds himself
I
in
might
love
wanna
with.
watch that
and
movie.
what do we
Maybe
see
we'll
in
do
the
a movie
Joker
night.
trailers? Well, we have ourselves a socially awkward and mentally ill comedian who becomes a villain that we know is prone to violence, a villain who somehow manages to wind up on the TV talk show of a famous TV comic, a man who, based on the trailers, is trying to use his comedy to impress a young woman that he happens to have romantic feelings for. So we have ourselves a lot of key plot elements shared between the two movies, but even some scenes feel like they're direct parallels. Both characters live with their mothers.
Now that's insulting.
Both characters have exact wishes for how they'd like to be introduced.
Now, this is my introduction, and I'd like Mr. Randall, if he could, speak it word for word. I would appreciate that.
This is Randall's introduction to your monologue?
Yes, it is.
One small thing.
Yeah.
When you bring me out, can you introduce me as Joker?
Even shots like this of the Joker getting ready to walk out on stage is similar to a motif of shots used throughout King of Comedy.
So it's like a mirror.
Right now, Jerry is strapped to a chair somewhere in the middle of this city. Go ahead and laugh. Thank you. I appreciate it. Tomorrow you'll know that I wasn't kidding and you'll think I was crazy. But look, I figure it this way. Better to be king for a night than schmuck for a lifetime.
So why do all these parallels matter? Well, throughout King of Comedy, mixed in with the real-life events of Rupert kidnapping his TV idol, are Rupert's fantasies. His delusions are blended seamlessly with the scenes that are happening around them. There's no visual cue that we're suddenly in the middle of one of Rupert's fantasies, no special filters, no dream sequence fade, nothing.
Yeah, you just go into it.
Thanks, Mr. Pumpkin.
Don't mention it.
Rupert! Rupert, who are you talking to?
Mom!
What is it?
Please stop calling me. It's terrific. It's great.
The only way that you can tell that these are Rupert's delusions is because of the subject matter. Rupert is best friends with the TV host. He gets married to Rita. He charms the audience on the show. And this technique of mixing the fantasy and the reality throws the entire ending of the movie into question.
That's actually... I might want to watch that movie. That seems like an interesting deep dive into, well, dangerous schizophrenia. Schizophrenia with obvious antisocial behavior.
We're told that Rupert gets out of jail and becomes wildly successful because of all the press that his kidnapping scheme generated. But again, this is a movie where hallucination and reality blur. Is this all in his mind as he sits there in his prison cell? It could be, but it could also not be. The ending leaves it ambiguous.
Rupert Pumpkin, ladies and gentlemen.
He could have also not done any of it. It could have all been a hallucination, eh? If that's willing to be that, then it might have all been a hallucination or an ideation of that.
Let's hear it for Rupert Pumpkin. Wonderful. Rupert Pumpkin, ladies and gentlemen.
At the same time, it raises questions about Joker and what we've seen in the trailers. Certainly, the dark scenes of Arthur being beat up seem to jive with the reality of an 80s era Gotham, but
yeah,
what about the scenes in which massive crowds...
If you're wondering what that is, that's my rooster. My chicken. His name is Snack. He is a good boy. And he's gotten more violent as he's gotten older, unfortunately. Roosters get angry as they get older. So, he actually nicked me the other day. A while ago now. I don't know. I don't know how to bet. Yeah, I know. There's a small guy. It was worse a few days ago. Anyway. Yeah, he was a good boy. He's gotten a bit more violent these days. I don't really like that. Sad boy.
all wear clown masks while protesting the government. At first glance, one might think that this is a pretty typical scene in a Batman film. The main villain has enthralled the city with some kind of political message, perhaps turning them against the Bat. But this isn't a Batman film. That little kid right there, that is our future Batman. So it seems highly unlikely that he's gonna suit up to take down Mr. J. So that leads to the question, what's really happening here? Has Gotham actually turned against the Waynes in this movie? Or is Arthur fantasizing about some kind of grand revenge, where everyone in Gotham takes up his image and fights the power? We have some hints that it might be that latter option. Throughout the trailers, we're treated to two very different images of Arthur as a clown. One makes him look like the sign twirler he appears to be at the beginning of the trailer, while the other makes him look like the Joker as we traditionally know him. Whenever he's in the more standard suit, Arthur's life seems to be grounded in reality. He lives in poverty. He cares for his mother. He's barely making ends meet. He's struggling to become a stand-up comic. But whenever we see him in his Joker suit, suddenly everything changes. He's on stage. He's walking through crowds of people dressed like him. He's dancing around on stairs. Everything he does in this Joker suit seems to be his goals, his fantasies, which is why I believe they're exactly that. Fantasies, delusions, hallucinations. If he were truly the leader of this rebellion, would he be allowed to walk through the crowd in his clown makeup? While everyone is protesting in one direction, would he just be allowed to walk in the other direction? Consider this. All the signs in the crowd are about capitalism and the working class. Pause the trailers and progress frame by frame through them, and you can see these protests are for workers' rights. Does that seem to be the type of message that Arthur Fleck, the Joker, would be the figurehead for? Or is he just inserting himself into these protests as some sort of power fantasy? This scene of him kissing the girl that he's trying to impress, does that sort of confident behavior look like it's coming from a man as shy and mousy as Arthur? Joker? I don't think so. I think these are all part of his hallucinations. The delusional world where he lives because of his mental illness. As he himself says in the final trailer,
if you write anything on your computer, you
Grammarly
need to
ads?
get Grammarly.
Really?
I write pretty much all day, every day, and Grammarly makes my writing better.
As a student, I like that it's free.
Actually, it's correcting everything as I'm writing it.
Grammar errors, spelling errors, and even helps me find the right words to use so I can say what I
got
want
like
to say.
3 hours.
It catches all those embarrassing little mistakes before
insomnia.
it hits send.
I downloaded Grammarly around my freshman year because I was just horrible at typing.
Grammarly is like
Oh
my
yeah, I'm about
secret
to start
weapon
streaming by the
for
way.
writing
After I
papers.
upload
It's the perfect tool for your resume.
So if you
You
see
know,
it,
you don't want any
and wanna
errors
come
when
watch
it's
me
your first
stream,
impression.
I use
You're more than welcome
Grammarly
to stop
for
by.
important emails, social media
I'll put my
posts, which there
stream
are a
in
lot
the
of.
I've used every tool out there, and Grammarly is by far the best for improving your writing.
Grammarly is making me a better writer, and it's free.
I would recommend Grammarly if you're a student.
My family.
My peers, my colleagues.
It's like having your own personal proofreader for free.
Download Grammarly for free at Grammarly.com.
I dislike ads on principle, but I'm not going to take money away from this guy, so I refuse to take money away.
Even really existed.
Let's face it, the comic book industry is no stranger to misleading trailers. Heck, Marvel's turned digitally altering their trailers into something of a sport, giving us a two-eyed Thor in Ragnarok's trailer, the de-hulking of Mark Ruffalo in the Endgame trailers, amongst dozens of other changes.
Yeah.
Remember, I even made a theory about where the Soul Stone was based entirely on digitally edited shots from Infinity War. Yeah, thanks Marvel. Not gonna forget about that one anytime soon. But showing straight-up fantasies from the movie is a brilliant way to misdirect fans. DC has even used this tactic before, showing an intimidating Superman in Batman v Superman's trailer that actually just came from one of Batman's dream sequences. Because we know that the Joker is going to struggle with mental illness in this movie, there's some good reason to believe that he's not going to be entirely connected to reality. I think there's a very strong possibility that every time we see Arthur as the Joker in this new movie, it'll only be in his head, a delusion. We know that there's a villain called Joker at some point, and that there is a clown-themed rebellion in Gotham, but it's about labor disputes. The trailers want us to believe that Arthur is the mastermind behind it all, which I'm not so sure about. Arthur Fleck just doesn't seem to be a social engineer like the Joker the trailers are making him out to be. Arthur is a tragic dreamer, just like Rupert and King of Comedy before him. Men whose greatest achievements exist sadly inside their own minds. Or, who knows, I could be wrong, but based on some early reviews that came out literally as we were editing this video,
one of Joker's strengths is that anyone will be able to argue their side about what was real and what was imagined.
it certainly seems like our theory may have predicted
Yeah.
the punchline.
I have predicted the punchline.
But
yeah.
hey, that's
I mean,
just a theory.
A
A
film
film
theory.
theory.
There you go.
And cut.
All right. Good video there. Good video there. I don't disagree. I fundamentally don't. Yeah, I think I do think it'll probably be that where he's legitimately just, well, crazy. He's the Joker. But he's not the Joker. This is just an imagining of him. Now, for you, I couldn't speak there. For those of you out there who have similar symptoms, such as this, but aren't schizophrenic, or even if you have similar symptoms, please seek help or reach out. There are things out there to get you help. You don't have to live in the delusion. The real world isn't that bad, trust me. You don't have to live in these delusions. My birth mother I was adopted. My birth mother has schizophrenia, and my biggest, one of the reasons I went into psychology, my biggest and most massive fear is developing it. It still is to this day. That is my biggest fear. Truly, it is something I'm terrified of happening. But you can't live life thinking that every symptom you have will lead to some sort of mental illness. Mental illness doesn't strike as a high snack. It doesn't strike as many people as you think it does. Well, it strikes a lot of people, but it doesn't strike as many people, especially schizophrenia. It doesn't affect as many people as you think it does. If you have any of these symptoms, please, please, please reach out for help. Like, even on the internet, even on Reddit, there are people out there who will help you. Trust me, there are. You aren't alone. Never, ever, 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 ever think you're alone. There are always people out there who will help you. If you need to reach out to me, I'll also try to do my best to help you. I'm still a studying psychology student, but I'm getting into this to help people. Struggling psychology student, not doing well in university, but that's more chronic laziness than anything else. Anyway, but yeah, don't ever think you don't have help. I think I'll put... Well, I'm Canadian, so I don't know where you guys are from. Just look it up. You guys know where to find it. Get help if you need it, please. But good video. Thank you, Film Theorist. Go follow him. Oh, well, sub to him. I'm about to start streaming after I upload this, so you guys come over and check me out if you want to. Right, I'll be live at 10:90. I'll put in the doobly-doo. Sub to him, sub to me if you want to. Like the video. Like his video first, actually. Then like mine, I guess, if you liked what you saw. Sorry for this being super long, but I had a lot to talk about with this. Good video, all things considered. He was a bit... I didn't like this part. Full stop. I didn't like this part. Not what he was talking about, but I don't like the way how he just put this up here. These are important for people to know, but they're also dangerous, especially for people who are possibly hypochondriacs or are in bad mental states. Like, you see these and you think that you have these and that maybe you have schizophrenia, and then you start to go down that path. I like that mental health is getting described. I just don't really like how he did it. But that's just me. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace. Oh, if you have an idea for what I should watch later, put it in the comments. Or join my Discord. I'll put Discord link in the comments too. Apart from that, you be you, I'll be me. Come check out my Twitch. And goodbye. Love you.